Patrick, how was your vacation?
It was absolutely wonderful. And then I came back,
Right.
and it's all gone. It's
Right.
all gone except for the photos. Not completely true, but no, it was very nice. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. I will tell you, and of course, this is important for the assembled public to know. I will tell you that I did go ahead and pick up a couple of kayaks on your recommendation. So
Very good.
yeah.
Wear your life jacket. That's all I gotta say. Wear your life jacket.
I used to, and of course, so I used to live in Pittsburgh, and you can kayak on the Monongahela if you want. You'll probably grow a second head, but
Yeah,
no, that taught me to wear a life vest
good.
every time. Shout out James Reichenbach.
Yes, I've taken down one council president. So.
I was just going to ask what happened to the last council president that went kayaking with Mr. Hopkins, but
That's just what I was thinking.
Once again, wear your life jacket. That's just
Particularly when you're around Patrick.
See, I feel like this is like a
Particularly
budget negotiation strategy that Patrick has.
What, come kayaking?
Well, yeah, and then he might flip your kayak a little bit if you're not quite amenable to. No. Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the September 22nd meeting of City Council. I will give everybody a heads up at the top of this meeting, just to let you know, I have a family issue to attend to later on in the evening, and so when I have to make that transition, unfortunately around 8:30, I will be asking Councilor Bakay to chair the meeting in my stead. So, Mr. Harris, would you please call the roll of members?
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Arroyo.
here.
Ms. Bakay.
Here.
Ms. Craig.
Here.
Ms. Diaz.
Here.
Mr. Garcia Molina.
Here.
Mr. Soto. And President Smith Waydell.
Here, Councilor Soto is excused for the evening. Approval of the minutes of September 8th, 2020.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Council comments. Hearing none, Mr. Harris.
Mr. Arroyo.
Aye.
Ms. Bakay.
Aye.
Ms. Craig.
Aye.
Ms. Diaz.
Aye.
Mr. Garcia Molina.
Aye.
And President Smith Waydell.
Aye. All right, we have minutes. Proclamations, honors, awards, and resolutions of recognition.
We have none tonight, Mr. President.
All right, thank you. Public comment reserved for citizens who have contacted the city clerk prior to the meeting to request the opportunity to address council. Do we have any, Mr. Harris?
We do not, Mr. President.
All right, we move then to reports requested by council. The first such report is the Census Emergency Day report. That sounds exciting. And so who's here to present on that?
That would be Millsy.
Amber, you got it? I'm sure Millsy is going to say this, but everybody, we're really, coming down to the wire on the census. There are enumerators out there knocking your door probably a couple of times a day at this stage. So just go ahead and fill it out. I've seen an enumeration in person take place. They'll do it for you in probably 2 to 10 minutes, depending on your family size. So go ahead and do that. Millsy, thank you for joining us this evening.
Good evening, council, and thank you for the opportunity to share with you where we are with our census. And we also have a proclamation. So Bernie, do we share the proclamation first, or do we give the report first?
I'll leave that to you. Which do you prefer?
Okay, let's do the report then. Thank you. So let me just pull this up. All right. So census emergency proclamation. The City of Lancaster and City of Reading Mayors Sirachi and Moran declare a joint census emergency day proclamation for today, Tuesday, September 22nd, to ensure an accurate count for all our communities in Pennsylvania. In the face of COVID-19 pandemic, Census Bureau operations were delayed by a local mandate until August of 2020, with an expected deadline of October 31st for in-person follow-up by census takers to non-responsive households. At the end of July, that deadline was cut short by executive direction to September 30th, reducing the time census takers had to count our people to a mere 7 weeks. Mayor Sirachi and Mayor Moran will host a live at 5 on Thursday, September 24th on Lancaster City's Facebook page. The mayors will engage in a discussion on impacts of the census on our community planning, funding for infrastructure and representation in Congress, identifying what's at stake with an undercount and how our communities have experienced historical undercounting to become what they are today. The mayors will also announce their activities for Census Emergency Day. In Lancaster on Friday, a caravan of the mayor, fire department, TCP network, and city officials will travel through the city, making stops and undercounting our census tracts at community partners. The first stop will be at St. Joseph's Deli and Grocery, Price Elementary School, Nuestra Clínica, Crispus Attucks. We'll also host Census Bureau Mobile Questionnaire Assistance employees. So they're called MQAs from 1 to 4 p.m. And it's also available to all foot traffic. All of you are invited to also join us, Council. If you would like to join us, I can share with you more information on the itinerary. We're asking all of our media partners, community agencies, neighborhood organizations to push as much as we can census-related awareness in the next few weeks to our city throughout the end of census, which is at the close of September 30th. Residents who have not completed the census can do so by going online to www.my2020census.gov. It's imperative for our city to increase its census percentage today. We can't wait. We are currently at 63.4% self-response rate versus in 2010, 69.5%. We urge you to complete your census today. It's safe, it's easy, and it's important. How was that, you guys? It is so important. I can't stress it enough. And I know everyone on this call knows the importance of it. And it would be really great if all of you can join us on Friday. I'll follow up with an email and share with you the itinerary for the day. You can join me in my car, 2 people per car. We can have a mask or we can just walk around. But it's really important that we're out there and encouraging people to complete their census.
So much effort to silence our voices. And the answer is because when we
Sorry about that.
Okay, that was it. Okay, and so Bernie, do you read the proclamation?
I can.
Okay, I like your voice. Thank you.
A proclamation, Census Emergency Day, September 25th, 2020. Whereas on March 6, 2020, Governor Tom Wolf proclaimed the existence of a disaster emergency in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, ultimately requiring all Pennsylvania residents to shelter in place. And whereas the Census Bureau's operations were delayed in response to local guidelines for social distancing, in-person efforts of Lancaster's county and municipal governments to support Census Bureau operations likewise affected, especially those focused toward hard-to-count populations in Lancaster City. And whereas the 2020 census self-response rate of Lancaster and many cities in Pennsylvania lagged behind 2010 rates, risking an undercount of 2020 and imposing dire ramifications on communities for the next 10 years related to funding education, disaster response, planning infrastructure, and representation in Congress. And whereas in August, the Census Bureau's deadline for self-response and in-person census taker operations was cut short to from October 31st to September 30th, drastically reducing the time to allow follow-up with non-responsive households and ensure an accurate count. And whereas, in a final effort to support Census the Census Bureau, we rise as a community to encourage neighbors to complete their 2020 census and stand proudly behind the truth that all Pennsylvanians count. Now, therefore, the mayor, in concert with the City Council of Lancaster, hereby proclaims Friday, September 25th, 2020 as Census Emergency Day and calls upon persons to complete their census, rally with neighbors, community organizations, and churches to communicate the importance of the census, thereby standing united to support the strength of our civic community and common good in Lancaster City and in the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Thank you. Complete your census. Did everyone complete their census here? Thank you. Bye, guys.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Millsy, hold
Yeah.
on just a second. Are you also doing the welcoming cities update?
So welcome in cities, there was a little hiccup with that. That's on October 5th. I think you requested it to be on October 5th.
I'm sure that I did. Just
Council
looking at the
President.
piece of paper in front of me. But
Okay, yeah,
great. Then
it's
we'll
on the-
see you on October 5th.
yes. Any questions about the census, please reach out. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Millsy.
Have a good evening.
Sorry about that, Mr. President. Millsy had communicated to me that it was going to be, the presentation would be delivered on October 5th, but I'd gotten it on the agenda anyway.
It's fine, Mr. Harris. Thank you so much. Great. I believe that moves us into our legislative agenda, unless, of course, there are any interim reports of committees of council.
There actually is, Mr. President. Thank you.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That's right. Councilor
Doesn't happen
Bakay,
too
please.
often. The Finance Committee held a special meeting on Thursday, September 17th, to review the city's 2019 audit results and also review Administration Bill number 11 of 2020, which will come up for first reading later in this agenda. For that bill, we heard from the Lancaster Parking Authority's financial advisor, Mr. Jay Wanger from Susquehanna Group Advisors. And we may discuss it a little bit further, but essentially a more accurate cost accounting or estimate has been made for the total cost of the parking garage project on Christian Street. Those construction costs are higher than expected. That's due to just increased construction costs across the board. They're requesting that we approve a plan that allows them to favorably refinance their 2016 bonds without extending the length of time of the debt, and also result in the savings of $1.4 million over the length of the debt. Additionally, issuing a second Series B bond that will provide them $5 million in new money for this capital project. So again, that's a first reading that's coming up later in this agenda. And then we'll discuss it again if needed at the next committee meeting as well. Additionally, for the 2019 audit, it was conducted by an independent firm, Mayer Dussel. The 2019 audit, the city received what's called an unmodified opinion, which, despite how unimpressive that sounds, is actually the best rating that you can receive. There were two findings in the single audit, which was the general fund, which were corrected. There were no findings in the audit of federal programs, which for this audit was for the community development block grant funds. Some audit highlights include a small net position increase of a whopping 0.011% and a decrease in outstanding bonded debt of just over 2%. As part of the review, the audit, we saw a breakdown of expenditures that were shown not only for 2019, but going back over the last several years. And as expected, because of state regulations on third-class cities, almost all of our revenue comes from taxes. This is not a shock. However, we were successful in bringing a higher than normal amount of grant funding than many cities our size, which is a testament to the hard work and creativity of city staff. And that concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Bakay, for that informative report and for your general consistency. Are there any questions? I know we were all present, but. All right. In assuming that there are no other interim reports of committees of council, I don't know if community development met behind my back. Looking at you, Councilor Craig. Just messing with you.
No,
Um,
no, we did not.
We can move into the legislative agenda. The great thing about being council president is that everybody has to put up with my dumb jokes. So moving to ordinances for final passage, Administration Bill number 10, 2020.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Lancaster, amending Chapter 6, Planning Commission of Chapter 22, Boards, Commissions, etc. of the Code of the City of Lancaster to allow for the appointment by resolution of City Council of up to 3 alternate members of the Lancaster City Planning Commission, providing for the repeal of inconsistent ordinances, providing for the severability of the ordinance, and providing for the ordinance to take effect in accordance with Pennsylvania law. The title,
Thank
Mr.
you, Mr.
President.
Harris.
Motion to approve?
Second,
We have a motion and a second. Councilor Craig.
Thank you, Council President. The Municipal Planning Code is the Pennsylvania state law enabling municipalities to enact their own comprehensive plan and zoning subdivision and land development along with official map regulations. Among other things, the MPC also governs the conduct, responsibilities, and the powers of the Planning Commission. In 2015, the MPC was amended to permit a planning commission to have 3 alternate members in addition to the maximum of 9 regular members. The drafted ordinance aligns Article 6, Planning Commissions of Chapter 22's boards of commissions of the city code with the state of Pennsylvania's MPC provisions for alternate members. Not a whole lot to add to that. So there you go.
It feels pretty straightforward. And I think we need to be able to give ourselves this level of flexibility and, provide for that level of expertise. Are there other council comments? From the public? Hearing none, Mr. Harris.
Mr. Arroyo,
Aye.
Ms. Beke,
aye.
Ms. Craig,
Aye.
Ms. Diaz,
Aye.
Mr. Garcia Molina,
Aye.
and President Smith Waddell.
Aye. All right, which moves us to bills for first reading. Administration Bill number 11, 2020. Mr. Harris.
An ordinance authorizing the incurrence of lease rental debt in the maximum aggregate principal amount of $20 million in connection with the guarantee by the city of the guaranteed parking revenue bonds being issued by the Parking Authority of the City of Lancaster and authorizing the officials of the city to take all appropriate action in connection therewith.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Councilor Beke.
Thank you. So I just spoke to this, so I don't know that I need to elaborate any further. We had a nice presentation at our special finance committee meeting, which you all were so gracious to also attend. I will, if I don't know, because we will be discussing this again in committee, I don't know that we need to have a further presentation on it. So I think we can just open up if there's any comment at this time.
Any comments? If the public has any questions at the time of this first reading, they may, raise their hands and indicate that they'd like to be added to the meeting. Hearing none. Thank you, Councilor Beke. We'll talk about this at the first council meeting in October, which brings us to C, resolutions, Council Resolution number 46, 2020, recognizing Hispanic Heritage Month. Mr. Harris.
A resolution of the Council of the City of Lancaster recognizing September 15th, 2020 through October 15th, 2020 as Hispanic Heritage Month and encouraging and encouraging awareness among the citizens of the city of, of, of Lancaster of the important contributions of people of Latino descent.
Motion to approve.
Second. All right, we have a motion and a second because I seconded it, my overeager self. Councilor Diaz.
Yes, Hispanic Heritage Month recognizes and celebrates the contribution of Americans and Spanish-speaking nations of the Caribbean and culture. It was born in 1968 when Congress authorized the president to issue an annual proclamation designated to the National Hispanic Heritage Week. Just 2 decades later, lawmakers expanded it to the monthly celebration, extending from September 15th to October 15th. When I think of Hispanic Heritage Month, and of course, because of COVID, I think of music that we can celebrate. And we usually do have a celebration. So I thought I'd bring a little bit of music since we need some pickup. Another thing would be food. So guess what? I went and I got some food for everybody. So we got pastelillos, we got arroz con habichuelas, and we got papa de rellena. And we never forget the dessert, flan. I mean, we got to celebrate somehow. So anyway, and then of course, I always think of my Panama hat. You know, we got to celebrate with style.
That's great. Great job.
Any other comments?
Just making sure there's a way you could share that with us. Do we drive to you or are you going to bring that to us?
We'll try to make it together outside where we can have our mask.
Some of us haven't had dinner yet, so that was a little cruel.
I haven't either. So yeah, I just wanted to share that, you know. One thing that I always think about is Maria. You know, Puerto Rico has been hit, and that was our anniversary of Maria. So I was a little biased about the food since it's Puerto Riqueño, but you know, we really need to think about the Latino community, no matter where we're at, whether it's in Lancaster, Puerto Rico, you know, different islands, different places. It just brings a culture out, you know, and we always love the music and we always like to celebrate.
Really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Councilor Diaz. And I just want to applaud you for your fortitude at having that lovely plate of food this whole time and not eating any of it.
I know, it smells so good.
You know, I think it's been said previously, Lancaster City is 40% persons of Latino or Hispanic descent. And indeed, our return to the 60,000 person level of population, which has facilitated a lot of things, is heavily driven by our Latina community. And there would be no Lancaster without them. And it's crucial that we understand them. And if I can tie some things together, can we use this moment to additionally make sure that everybody in a typically undercounted population, such as the Latino or Latina community, fills out the census to be counted. So just want to tie that back together. Are there other council comments?
Yeah, Council President, if I may.
Please.
I think that's one of the things that drew my family to Lancaster about 20 some years ago, is just how much embrace there is of our community in a lot of ways. And I really saw that to be true even just in the representation of council. We are a Hispanic majority council. 4 out of 7 of us actually identify as Hispanic, and I think that's a remarkable feat in our community. It's a privilege that we have as a council body, is to be a great representation of what our community stands for. And I am just so proud to stand alongside you, especially you today, Councilor Diaz, with your entertainment and your great representation of our community. But I'm really excited to celebrate, especially this month, this year, with my community, just because it's been a difficult year, but being able to celebrate who we are and all of the perseverance that we have had as a people is something that I definitely rely on in some of the toughest times that we go through.
Here, here.
If I may, Council President?
Councilor Arroyo, of course.
Yeah, just kind of want to echo Councilor Diaz's remarks regarding celebration during this time. I think during a pandemic and kind of the year of 2020, there's a lot to definitely be sad about. But you know, with this month allowing us to celebrate and have pride with our culture, is just a reminder of the amazing people in Lancaster City and the culture that thrives here, along with other cultures as well. But just definitely feeling a sense of pride of being Puerto Rican, Latino, and just excited to celebrate this month with the rest of the city. So safely and socially distanced, of course. But yeah, we just need to make sure we get some Hispanic heritage masks or something like that designed for this month. So if anyone can make that happen, I'd appreciate it. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Arroyo. All right. Are there any comments from the public on this resolution? Oh.
Hello?
Hey, good evening, ma'am. You're in the city council meeting. Please start with your name and the street you live on and keep your comments to 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Hi, my name's Sobeda Rosa. I live on Rank Mill Road. I'm glad we're talking about Latinx / Hispanic Heritage Month. The only comment that I had was just talking about the verbiage. Latinx is a new term that's more inclusive and includes non-binary folks that identify within the diaspora. So just urging everyone who does talk about the community just to use Latinx so it's more inclusive towards people of the LGBT community. That was it.
Thank you. That's much appreciated. Ms. Strazo, would you please add Ms. Rojas to the meeting?
Hey,
Tammy.
thank you. Hey, yeah, so I want to echo and uplift what you just, that comment you just heard. And I also think that it's important when we do these kind of resolutions that we really dig deeper into like what we're actually doing. Like when I think about this, I think the need to incorporate translation for city council meetings, you know, things like that. So when we're doing this and celebrating, to just uplift like this is being recognized, but also really wanting to include, you know, more of other communities and spaces like this.
That's well taken. Thank you, Ms. Rojas. All right, I'm not seeing any other comments in the queue. So Mr. Harris.
Mr. Arroyo,
Aye.
Ms. Baker,
Aye.
Ms. Craig,
Aye.
Ms. Diaz,
Aye.
Mr. Garcia Molina,
Aye.
and President Smith Waddell.
Aye. Thank you. That concludes our legislative agenda and brings us to the second public comment period, open for comments on issues not on the agenda. As per usual, please start with your name and the street that you live on and keep your comments to 3 minutes.
Hello. Hi, so Tammy Rojas, I live on the 200 block of West Vine Street. I guess the reason why I'm kind of calling in to talk about this, and I know I wasn't here earlier. I don't believe this was on the agenda, but I really want us to reflect what has been going on in our community, not just the past couple weeks, but the past couple months, and connected to the past couple years. And I know I didn't already state this, but I'm with Poor People First PA and the Poor People's Campaign. You know, I live in the Soe neighborhood. I too suffer from mental health issues, and we've known people who have personally been killed by police as well, suffering through mental health crisis, our members. And so that was very traumatic experience to go through. And I can also say that many of us, and I'm not even just talking about like the members of Poor People First PA, I'm talking about many others in the community as part of these other groups that we have connected with. It was, I appreciate some of the remarks that some of you have come forward and said. I appreciate, Xavier, that you held alive, and you had some of the tough conversations so that people were given that space to share how they feel. And I think more of that needs to happen, because there are going to be a lot of tough conversations before we really, because we're going to have those tough conversations to get the change needed. And it's not going to be easy for some of you folks to hear what folks like us, right, have to say. And I just also want to say that I also had a sense of anger initially with many of you, with many others in the community, because when I think about what happened and I hear you guys all of a sudden talk about we need more to healthcare, we need to address poverty, we need to do this. We have been screaming that out to all of you, and not just even just you here on this council, but the administration, the nonprofits, all of you in many, many different spaces. We have been crying out to you to address these issues and listen to the people. And then so I feel like when that was all of a sudden touted and so many people were, in power, were uplifted in the media as if this is some new subject, and none of you, I have not heard any of you even like admit your role within the situation. You could have admitted that possibly, just possibly, the rezoning away of healthcare related infrastructure by two major nonprofits within 2 weeks of this happening, adding the numbers up, looking at the ER emergency room expansion, even of LGH, is going to get us up to 140,000 ER visits. Guess what? Combining what LGH already did, combined with what St. Joseph did, we're already over capacity. So that is not going to be enough. And now all of a sudden, I know on future agendas, there's going to be all these development projects coming up on the corner of Queen and Chestnut, what's going to be built in place of St. Joe's, everywhere. We're not going to have that. We're not going to have the infrastructure we need, even with what's being proposed in the other spaces, like at the old Toys R Us and things like that. Those are primarily specialty hospitals, primarily outpatients. I know my time's up.
Thank you, Ms. Rojas. Please add Sammy Rosa to the meeting, Ms. Strazo.
Hello, can you guys hear me okay? My name is Samuel Rosa. I live on Columbia Avenue in Lancaster City. And I'm coming as a concerned citizen because I am also going to talk about the recent events that have happened in Lancaster. And I want to say that I am so deeply disappointed in our elected officials, because the fact that our mayor has sat here and said that she has no knowledge of rubber bullets being used on our police force is absolutely ridiculous, because I have seen people get shot and I've seen people be injured and seen people get thrown with CS gas and seen people be injured because of it. And I'm so upset at the fact that the mayor and our elected officials have not spoken to the community directly at us. You will have backdoor meetings and you will have backdoor press conferences, but you will not speak to the community directly. And I am so hurt that my administration of my city does not listen to the community the way that they should. And I am so hurt. And I think I speak for so many people that are so hurt by all of you. I'm done.
Are there any other public comments? Ms. Rosa? Ms. Traza, would you add Ms. Rosa to the meeting? Hey, good evening again.
Hi, Sabita Rosa, live on Rank Mill Road. I wanted to echo the two people in front of me that were bringing up concerns of just what's been happening. It's been a very tumultuous time for all of us in Lancaster, obviously, but especially people of color. And it just seems like the members of the council and of the mayor's office just have been doing a lot of performative things in regards to listening to what the citizens have had to say. If we elected you into these offices, you should be listening to your constituents and trying to do more to advocate for us. I do want to highlight and appreciate Xavier, Councilor Xavier Garcia Molina, for having those lives and those basically putting himself in the hot seat. He didn't have to do that, and obviously he isn't the only one sitting on this council. I have emailed you all several times and haven't gotten a response. So it's just, we feel like we haven't been heard. We feel like we haven't been heard for months. And it's just honestly disheartening to see and to feel like no one's listening to your concerns. Especially Janet Diaz, aren't you running for PA State Senate? You're going into a higher place of government, and even at the local level, we still don't feel like we're being heard. So what is your goal in getting us to vote for you to go into a higher place and empower in government when you can't even listen to us now? But that's all I have to say.
Thank you, ma'am. Are there any other public comments? All right, hearing none, we will move.
I'm sorry, Council President, I apologize. There's a very loud crash just outside and I ran to see what that was, but all seems to be okay.
Okay,
I apologize.
not a problem, Mayor. It is now the time for your report.
All right, gather myself here. There is much to be said, as the previous callers alluded to, about the events in our city over the past 9 days. I want to start by acknowledging so much that I've heard from so many in our city, the pain of Ricardo Munez's family, the neighbors, the neighborhood, the commitment and desire of mental health care professionals who responded to my call for help Monday a week ago. The business leaders who care deeply about our city, again, the residents and neighbors that I have heard from directly, and the huge range of emotions and the commitment of our police officers who continue to serve the city. This has definitely been a week of listening. And for those of you who are on the call who want to talk with me more, please reach out to my office. This was a week that was marked by compassion, a week of seeing who Lancaster is and who we want to be. I'm continuing to learn and look forward to sharing next steps as they continue to emerge as we respond both individually as city government and collectively as a community, not just to the events of the last 2 weeks, but well, just the events of the last several months and what it means for our community to be dealing with and addressing so many crises all at once. As we look ahead to November 3rd, I want to give everyone a reminder that today is National Voter Registration Day. If you've never voted, if you've recently turned 18, if you've recently become a US citizen, or even if you have been convicted of a felony, you can register to vote. And it is very important as we look ahead to November 3rd and the upcoming election to continue to put out the call for voter registration. And there is information that you can find online. And don't forget to go to votespa.com for specific voter information. I want to focus the remainder of my report on the National Celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month. As mayor, my main priority is to create a stronger and more equitable Lancaster block by block. And tonight I want to recognize the contributions of our Hispanic, Latino, and Latinx neighbors who make Lancaster the community that it is. Hispanic Heritage Month, as you all have proclaimed from September 15th to October 15th, is a national celebration. And I appreciate Councilor Diaz for reminding us about all the ways that the community enriches us through its cuisine, its music, its fashion, and also its artistic ability. It's the hard work ethic of our Hispanic, Latino, and Latinx business owners, and in the everyday relationships and the community that is our beautiful city of Lancaster. As Council President mentioned, our Hispanic population accounts for approximately 40%. And I just wanted to share with you that within the City of Lancaster staff, Hispanic, Latino, Latinx make up 19% of our overall workforce, 7% of our management positions, and just 1.6% of our director positions. While there has been progress in this area, there is obviously far more work to be done, and I am committed to working towards a city workforce that reflects the community it serves. As I've enumerated to City Council previously through our diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. I also want to underscore what Councilor Garcia Molina mentioned in recognizing the significance of this council as the most diverse in our history and one of the most diverse governing bodies in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. It is especially noteworthy and deserves to be recognized, and this is something that should continue to bring our community great pride. I'm proud of the efforts that we've made so far, like establishing the Office of Neighborhood Engagement and all the work that office does under Millsy's leadership, and launching the Language Access Program to ensure residents can participate more fully in the work of the city if they speak other languages than English. And there is much more work to be done, as outlined in the racial equity commitments that I shared with you a month ago. At our next meeting during Hispanic Heritage Month, I would like to begin an annual tradition and announce a Lifetime Achievement Award for a local leader, so please stay tuned. A month is not enough time to recognize Lancaster's Hispanic community for all their cultural richness and contributions to our city. And so I'm asking all of you to help me by celebrating, by patronizing Hispanic-owned business, especially in this time of COVID, or offering your support to a Hispanic-led community organization. The City of Lancaster invites all of its residents and community members to honor and celebrate the Hispanic community's deep roots in Lancaster throughout this month. Please visit cityoflancasterpa.com Hispanic Heritage Month for a list of the virtual events that were hosted by the Latin American Alliance in celebration of the month. And that concludes my report, President. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. So I'll take a moment now, in this moment, giving my report as the president of council. You've heard or seen my comments on the events of the past week or so in Lancaster several times. And so it would be convenient if you wanted to go out and glean my opinion on the matter, on any matters. But as the president of the council of the city of Lancaster, I want you to know that this is a council that is actually quite deeply concerned, and each working in their own way to deal with the many issues, policing, mental health, poverty, finances, what have you, that directly relate to the killing of Ricardo Munoz and the subsequent protests, arrest, and court proceedings. And just want to also recognize the council for actually for stepping up and going out into the community, not just that evening, but other evenings subsequently, and other city staff who were who were present. If you were present, not Sunday night, but the Sunday night before on the street, you could feel the level of anger and sorrow on Laurel Street and also down in front of the police station. And I think it's important to recognize the size of those feelings and the fact that they are not about a single event. Indeed, as several of the callers mentioned, these are conversations that have been had for months while being overdue for years. And what we currently have, I think, in terms of our systemic arrangement, shows that we have a long way to go in increasing the safety of every person imaginable, and every person in our city. I'm really rather emotional about this because this is my home, and I think it's important to embrace critique and feedback from all sides and all elements. And when members of my community or city employees tell me that they do not feel safe for one reason or another, that is personal, and it comes home with me the same way it comes home with every other member of this community. And we've all been honestly, and I think this is everybody, running on E, trying to figure out what we're going to do in terms of meeting the needs of our residents in creative ways, while also dealing with the most significant budget hole that likely any of us can or will ever remember, though I cannot speak for Mr. Hopkins. He'd probably pull another one out of the early 90s or the 70s or something. Anyway, the point is, I would urge you to keep making your voices heard, keep raising up your concerns. I've met with some of you, and you've told me quite specifically the ways in which you do not feel safe in this, our home, and you don't feel respected or heard or loved, and you deserve to feel respected and heard and loved. And I would urge you to keep urging this council, but also to look out for your council members and city staff members who may be working in ways that you may not recognize. So, for example, where you may not see action being taken, the work of the Finance Committee or the Public Works Committee, while you may not see those actions on the street at a given time, those are the things that are going to shape how the city functions for years to come, and that work deserves recognition as well. I think I've strained the very bounds of what could be called brief commentary. So I'll stop here and just thank everybody for participating. And I don't just mean voting, and I don't just mean filling out your census. America is a bad idea, and it's a messy experiment. And yet we all keep trying for these communities that we love dearly. And just because we don't recognize what that love looks like for someone else doesn't mean it isn't real. Thank you.
Can I make a comment, Council President?
Of course, Councilor Diaz.
I just want to emphasize the fact that I did go see the family of the one that lost their loved one, and gave my condolences to them, because I felt that as a city council person, I can also reach out to them. I know that one of the strong things that I have is being a counselor for people that are mentally, those that are suffering with mental illness. And I have always been an advocate for them and will always be. And I just wanted to just emphasize that.
Thank you, Councilor Diaz. Okay. In the event that there are no other council comments, can I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.